Hi, this is Sophie. Market has been changed quite a lot, and it's been almost 1.5 months since we have been through shelter in place. So what are the market in April? I want to share with you some encouraging news and information about our real estate market today. First, we look at early indicators, online traffic, because that's where buyers start to search. When you are looking for houses, that's where they started first. We see online traffic increases in two of the very large websites where have very heavy buyer traffic. The first is Zillow. Zillow information data published on April 22nd shows that the online page views increased quite a lot in April. And actually, as of the data released on April 22nd, the page views were actually higher compared with same period last year. And it definitely rebounded quite sharply compared with the time in March. Now, also another stats we look at is called clients request through the Zillow agent program. That's where clients request to be connected with the real estate professionals. So that gives more indicators of the buyer's interest after they see the houses online. So that number also increased, and it's also rebounded quite a lot in April compared with March, and the numbers are higher now than they were about a year ago. So one of the example, the city that's nearby us, San Francisco, actually saw the number for online traffic higher compared with same period in 2019, compared with also in March this year, that is a major increase. The second key place that buyers search online traffic on Redfin. Redfin data that we got on April 23rd shows similar trend. The requests for the Redfin agent-led video chat tours soared about 350% as of April 19 compared with same period a month ago. And that video chat tours actually represent about 1/3 of Redfin's home tour demand. And interestingly, of the offers signed as of April 19, 1 out of 7 was signed by customers who had toured the home. They made an offer on via video, and that is higher compared with 1 out of 8 about a week ago, and also higher compared with the number in March. As you can see, the buyers are adapting to the new virtual way of seeing houses and make decisions based on that. And the 3D virtual tour, virtual walkthrough on Redfin was increased by a lot, and that's another indicator showing how we adapt to the new reality and continue to see the house online. So on the seller side, seller actually stay firm on prices. So out of the 75% realtors we looked at it, their report shows that their seller have not lowered the listing price to attract buyers during this time frame. And the Chief Economist Lawrence Swing, who is the National Association of Realtors Chief Economist Lawrence Swing, also said that so the current decline in buyer and seller activity is only temporary, and most of the buyer and seller are ready to hit the market in a couple of months once all these things pass by. And on the other hand, the home inventory was actually lower, and he doesn't now see any seller is doing any panic selling. Actually, sellers are taking a calm approach, and they would rather take the house off the market than doing a panic selling in this situation. So we had actually a webinar with Lawrence Swing on April 24th, and here are a few very important views from Lawrence Swing I want to share with you. First, Lawrence compare with the current situation with the situation in 2008. One major difference he noticed that now we do not have any subprime or overstretching loans compared with back in 2008. And there are no oversupply of houses compared with 2008. Now, 2008, the supply is about 14 to 15 months, which means it takes about 14 to 15 months to get the current inventory sold at that time. This number right now is about 3 months supply. And home price, Lawrence think home price will be held steady and there's no panic selling from seller. And as the economy recover, more people will go back to their job. And the volume of the 2020, it's going to go down because we literally have a couple months that there are no houses. The house activity was impacted quite a lot. However, that's only for the sales volume. It's not for the price. So another very interesting and important view he has is if people want to hedge against inflation, he thinks real estate is a good tool and asset. And he thinks that there is likelihood we might see a higher rate in a few years down the road, given right now there's so much money was injected into the economic system. And now one of the questions buyer tends to ask a lot is, a lot of people lost a job. Will there be a lot of foreclosures coming out? We asked Lawrence the same question, and he make it very clear. He think there's not going to be a large amount of foreclosures. Two things that helps a lot. The first is mortgage forbearance, because if you have financial difficulty, you can ask lender to allow you to postpone payments of the mortgage for 6 months, which is called mortgage forbearance. And if you still have difficulty, then they can extend another 6 months for you. So that means for about 1 year, a person in financial difficulty can postpone the payments of the mortgage. And this really helps to prevent the foreclosures. And once you have the job back, then you can resume paying the mortgage. Another thing that helps the reduction or no massive amount of foreclosure is unemployment insurance. There are really generous unemployment insurance provided, and for quite a lot of people, their unemployment insurance is actually higher than their salary when they were working. So these are the two very good tools that provided by the government that helps to minimize the surge of foreclosure. And once the economy open, Lawrence think that there will be a surge of buyers and sellers. Well, he does think a commercial market is slightly different compared with the residential. So if you guys are interested in commercial market, let me know. I can talk to you separately about it. We also asked Lawrence about his thoughts on the oil price. As you're all aware, oil price dropped a lot, and he thinks that oil price generally, a low oil price is helpful for U.S. economy, except for a few oil-dependent states. So this is actually good for Silicon Valley and California because, when the pricing of the oil goes higher, it actually adds burden to people here. We are really not like Texas, more a lower oil price is more favorable for us. So I want to also let you know that realtors take a lot of measures to adapt to the changes to make the house available for showing. Now on we started it's the shelter in place March 17, and for that 2 weeks, literally, no showing, very few activities. And end of the March, real estate was listed as categorized as essential business. So start from that point, we were able to schedule showing, move the activities forward. Even though there's still no open house, but we did take a lot of measures to make buyer be able to see the houses. So first, the vacant house, we already allow people to go see it. We limited the traffic to be one group of buyer plus one agent at a time. And we also ask agent to wear gloves and disinfect the places like doorknobs and keys and locks to make it safe. Another positive change I saw just very recently start from Monday, actually, if the seller still living in it, used to be only the vacant house can allow showing. Now start from Monday, if seller still living in it, we can show your house to the buyers. And of course, those protective measures still need to be in place. You will need to be out of the house when the buyer comes in. But it's a one step forward to allow people, to allow the seller who actually live in the house to be able to show it to the buyers. So there, as you can see, buyer and the seller, we are all adapting to new way of sell houses. The first is we use a 3D virtual tour. It's really nice, give you a very nice view of the house, and it's actually 3 dimensions. If you're curious to see how it's look like, just let me know. I'll be happy to send you a link of the 3D tour we did recently for our listing. And second is we also do the video tour. Video virtual tour. We utilize Zoom to do a video tour for the buyers who wants to see the house. And on top of that, as I mentioned to you in the previous slide, that we can make appointment for you to show the house on site with all the safety measures. And last but not least, if you want to, work on an offer and you haven't seen the house yet, you just see the 3D tour, but you don't know if you're going to get it, and you want to, just make sure you get it before you're able to see it, we always can draft the offer giving you a protection on inspection contingency. So in this case, once the offer is accepted, you know the price is acceptable, you go to see the house, and if you see something that make you change your mind, that protection contingency of inspection clause give you a way to get out in this unusual circumstance. So that's a few important ways we do to help buyer be able to still buy house in this particular market. So another thing I want to share with you is the mortgage applications. That also give us a very positive indicator showing a improvement of the housing market. Back a few weeks ago in March, as you heard in my last webinar, the mortgage application at that time actually dropped a lot. However, getting into April, we see a mortgage applications for purchase increased quite a lot. The volume of mortgage application for purchase actually jumped to 12% the week before, April 29, and that's the data released by Mortgage Bankers Association. That was actually the highest weekly increase in almost a month. California and Washington showed a continued increase in purchase application, and even New York, which was really hit hard by the virus, experienced a significant bump after declines in 5 out of the last 6 weeks. So the 10 largest states had an increase in purchase activity, which is potentially a sign of the start of an upturn in the pandemic-delayed spring home buying season. That was the comment we got from the Vice President of the Mortgage Association, which I think it's really a good indicator to help us see what's happening down the road. Another data from digital mortgage lender beta.com also reported 36 increase year over year in April purchase application, and the top state was California, which made up of 14% of the month total purchasing volume. So as you can see, California is definitely doing pretty well in April, and then quite a lot of improvements compared with the last 2 weeks in March. So now just a few reminders for the buyers who had a pre-approval quite a few weeks ago. And if you are putting offer, I highly recommend you double check with the lender. And if you are doing jumbo loan, less than 20%, definitely be very careful, because most of lenders do not do that anymore. And if you are doing a non-qualified mortgage, which are mortgage do not check your income, do not, ask for a lot of documents, and you are foreigners, this is a reminder to ask you to double check before you put an offer and get into any contract with your lender. So if you are thinking about forbearance and yet thinking about, getting a new mortgage, be careful, as no new loans will be allowed if you ask for forbearance from the lender. So next, I want to let you know that pricing are really held stable. I got these questions a lot when I did a webinar in beginning of April. Here I have the latest data that shows the overall sales price actually hold pretty stable. And in California, all over California, the home price has remained relatively stable regardless of the virus. And there is a discrepancy between the buyer and the seller in the pricing, because buyer are expecting significant discount on pricing. However, sellers are held, they prefer to hold stable, and they would rather remove their home from the market and rather than give you a super low price. So if you are the buyer, just definitely be aware of the discrepancy in what seller is thinking, and maybe if you are very seriously buying a house, you need to adjust your expectation on pricing. So this is the chart that I just put very recently to show you the Santa Clara County sales price to list price ratio. As you notice, in April, the sales price to list price ratio is holding still pretty well, even though it's slightly lower than February and March. It's still much higher compared with a year ago, given we are in this special circumstance. This is a pretty good price to sales sell price to list price ratio. Also, I give you the data that shows you the Santa Clara County, the total listings that got withdrawn, canceled, and it's also improved a lot. As you notice, the 2 weeks in March and later March withdrawals total is 116, and this improved. Now the total withdrawal of the listing in the first 2 weeks of April is only 52 and continues to reduce to 37 over the past 2 weeks. Same for the canceled. The canceled number is 129 in the last 2 weeks in March, which is really the worst time, and it gets improved a lot. The number was 64 in first 2 weeks in April, and further reduced to 54 for the last 2 weeks in April. On the other hand, the new listings was actually were increased. The number is 370 for Santa Clara County total new listings for the 2 weeks from March 17 to March 31st, and that is increased to 450 the first 2 weeks in April and continue to increase in the previous 2 weeks. That shows you more and more sellers feeling comfortable to put house back onto the market for sale, because as I showed you before, the buyer traffic is coming back as well. And another data I shared with you, for you to judge this market is listing transaction fell through. The listing transaction fell through also reduced. In March this year, that is a very high number, 167. Total transaction fell through in Santa Clara County. This number reduced to 113 in April, which is actually better than the same period last year. So that is really good. I break down into 2-week period for you to see. So that number is 89 for the period of March 17 to March 31st versus 64 for the first 2 weeks in April, and it reduced further to 49 for the last 2 weeks in April. A few examples of houses sold in Santa Clara County in April. I noticed that single-family houses in good neighborhoods are actually really selling very well in April. A few examples I want to share with you. The 2 zip codes that I know a lot of buyers really like and very sought after neighborhoods for most of the people working here in Santa Clara County are 95051 and 94087. 95051 single-family houses, total units sold in April is 25 units. And out of this 25 units, only 6 sold less than listing price, while the other 19 all sold well above listing price. In 94087, this number is about 14. Total 14 units sold in April, and only 3 sold less than listing and 1 at listing price, while the other 10 was sold well above listing price. And a few interesting examples I want to show you, the individual example. 2218 Francis Avenue, 4 to 5 offers listed at 1.28 million, sold 1.35 million. Flannery Street 584, and they actually got 15 offers. That is quite amazing. They listed 1.488 million and sold around 1.7 million. Cupertino is always very sought after because of the school. And the two examples I showed you here is actually really rundown houses, a fix up. As you can see, really almost falling apart houses still got a lot of interests. 830 Battling Avenue listed 1.25, and you really need to tear down the whole house and rebuild. They got over 20 all cash offers and sold at 1.515. And another house on the same street down the road, 858 Battling Avenue, listed at 1.399 million and sold at 1.55 million, just closed in 7 days, and again, all cash offer. So, quick summary of April market in Silicon Valley. Market remains stable. We don't see panic selling. We don't see pricing dropping significantly, and we see improvements with less fail-through transactions, less canceled listings, and also less withdrawn listings. And more houses are putting on the market and got sold. And the houses that are good in good neighborhood actually really got multiple offers and sold very quickly. So if you are buyers and hesitating, especially buying for your primary home for live, with all these data that showed you, hopefully that can help you to answer some of the questions and reduce your hesitation. And on the seller side, I definitely see more sellers coming back to the market. And if you're the seller, you don't know how the market is going. Hopefully, this gives you some confidence about putting your house back to the market. So I'm concluding today's presentation here. And if you have any questions, I will schedule a Q&A session either through a Zoom video or with a call with you separately. Hopefully, this is all helpful for your decision whether you're buying or selling.